So I just, honestly, what it comes down to, man, and when I'm looking at this is, what's the job of a real estate agent, man? What's the
Yeah.
job of a real estate agent and what's the expectations, right?
So when I first came into the business, the one thing that was taught to me is that you don't get the opportunity to become a real estate agent until you earn it. You have to earn the right to become a real estate agent, but before you even get to the job role as a real estate agent, you're a prospector. You have to be out there making calls, marketing, networking. You have to go out into the marketplace and earn the right to become a real estate agent. I think too many people, when they come into the business at first, they see it as maybe like selling sunset. I've never watched those shows on Netflix, right? But it's like,
I do all the time.
oh, I know you do,
That's
dude.
what I do on my free time.
That's
I'm
that's
like,
why
this
you don't
looks
that's
real
why
to
you
me.
don't
Like
that's why you
this
don't
looks
sell any real
work.
estate. So, but they think of the Instagram agent, right? That they're gonna make 100K in their first month in real estate. That they're gonna have all this time. It's gonna be luxury listings left to right, and not to knock anyone's dreams, but the reality of if you take your medicine early and realize this business is simple. It's not easy, but it is simple, and you have to earn your right to become a real estate agent. And then what happens when you do earn that right? When someone finally says, yes, I'll meet with you to sit down and discuss my real estate needs. Well, then you step into fiduciary duties for the client, whether you're showing them property or listing property for them, if they need to sell their house, or if they're an investor, helping them maximize their return. So I think a lot of people probably lose sight or don't see that coming into this business about earning their, just because you have a real estate license doesn't, you haven't earned the right to become a real estate agent yet. So I know there's a lot there, but what are your thoughts around that?
No, it's because I look at this and I'm doing a lot of continued ed, getting ready to get my license in Arizona. Really want to expand with the Rockwell network that we have and what we're doing. But the first thing that comes to mind as being a real estate agent is being an educator. And if you aren't keeping yourself educated on the current real estate market, it's hard for you to say that you're a real estate agent if you can't educate that to your clients. So what I mean by that is fiduciary duties. If you talk to agents and you say, what's the fiduciary duty of you as an agent? You're probably going to get 10 different answers, right?
Yeah.
Maybe 5 different answers. But really, the fiduciary duty, and you brought this up, so that's why I love this, is your fiduciary duty is to maximize, like you said, profit for your sellers and minimize expense for your buyers. So are you able to do that if you haven't educated yourself on the current market, on negotiating, on conversations, everything that encompasses to be a real estate agent? So I see a lot of agents out there, and that's why I want to ask you, what do you feel, it takes to be a real estate agent? Because I feel a lot of real estate agents, they get into this business and they think, sweet, I'm a business owner. I'm going to lunch at 2 o'clock with my friend. I'm showing up at the office at 10 a.m. Oh, I did a lot of work today. And a lot of work was they went to the coffee pot 6 times and talked with people, right? So
Yeah.
to me, a real estate agent is someone who knows that they're self-employed, but has the mindset of an employer on what they have to do every day in order to keep that status.
Yeah, man. I agree with wholeheartedly on that too, on that outlook of it. You said maximize profit for sellers, and what was the for buyers?
Minimize expense for your
Minimize
buyers.
expense for buyers. So, kind of going back to my day one, dollar one, in real estate, one thing that I was trained on for buyer consultations, when we're making an offer, and I've asked a few agents if they do this, and they say, no, we just kind of go off of, is there an offer on the property or how many days on market? Well, I think every buyer, before going into a contract, their agent should run a comparable market analysis for their buyers. Even if it's not in the sense for negotiation, like I'll never send over my buyer CMA for that property and tell the other agent, hey, you listed it wrong, right? I'm never going to do that. I'm never going to send it to the other agent because they did their own preparation for why they justified price in the market. But what it does for me is one of three things. If it's priced really, really well, I can let the buyer know, hey, make a full price offer on this, come in strong, maybe even go over price a little bit because this is a hot listing and we're asking for a little bit of closing costs. And for my CMA, my comparable market analysis, it shows that there's some equity to step into this. So let's come in strong, right? Looking at days on market as well, too. So not only minimizing expense, but maximizing opportunity for the buyer if they really want that house. Or vice versa, hey, this house is overpriced by $15,000. Let's come in a little aggressive on our price. If the agent asks me why, I can justify it and share with them why we're coming in at what we're coming in, and I'll put the deal together and negotiate it that way. But if you really like the house, you know the price. I'm here to inform you what's seen on the market for what's selling around here. If you really want the house, let's go in full price offer. And we'll ask for some closing costs if you need it. If you have the closing costs and you don't need it, we'll go in. But my main thing going in with buyers is educating them, just like you're saying, all the way through the process. Even if they decide not to go with what my opinion is, my professional opinion, it's my job to inform them and give them all the tools to make an educated decision in what they're about to step into, right? And I've going back to kind of where I've always leaned on, I've always told buyers in this journey of selling real estate, buying real estate, we're all in a car together. You're in the driver's seat. You got your hands on the wheels, Jason. But as a professional, I have the roadmap. So we're cruising down I-5 going 100 miles an hour. If I'm telling you to take exit 21 because that's the fastest route to our destination of buying this house, then I'm going to give you the directions. But if you want to go the scenic route and you bypass exit 21 and we get down to exit 25, hey, I'll reroute us and I'll get us to the destination. But I want you to know that you are in control of this, of the outcomes of this. Your hands are on the wheel. I'm just here to give you the best directions to get to what you're hiring me to do. Does that make sense?
Yeah, and this can open up so many different conversations, and going back to what does it take to be a real estate agent? I would ask again, and this is numbers we don't know, but I'm just going to go off the top of my head, ask random 10 agents what a CMA is and how to prepare one, and you'll probably get 6 to 7 different answers, right? Now, the best way to prepare a CMA, in my opinion, is we have RPR, which is great. It kind of navigates you through it. But the best way to know how to prepare a CMA is, are you calling appraisers? Are you talking to them? Are you asking what they would look at if you had a certain property? Let's say it's a 2-bedroom, 1-bath, 800 square foot on the lake next to a bunch of 1,400 square foot houses. What should I do here? It's not gonna be a 2-bedroom, one bath house. It's gonna be on the lake, right? Because I've had that scenario before. So going back to educating, right? You're educating yourself so you can educate your buyers. And that's kind of why I really wanted to jump in and start doing this podcast, because I'm seeing so many things out there of just some misinformation in my professional opinion of what is being taught or what people are trying to learn. And, one of the things I've come across is when I see, on the social media platforms or on other podcasts, somebody will ask a question for help and they're waiting to get the answer of what they want to hear to justify what they're already doing to say, okay, it'll eventually work, instead of getting an answer that hurts their feelings. And they're like, this is what I need to do, right? So if you're going to be a real estate agent, in my opinion, how much time are you spending every week to educate yourself? Who are you partnered with that has the tools to do that? A lot of agents that I talk to in real estate, they're like, well, it's just not really working out where I'm at. I say, okay, well, what's the problem? They tell me all of these things. And I say, okay, well, when's the last time you used the tools that they have? Well, I haven't. Okay, when's the last time you knocked on the door? When's the last time you made a call? Well, I don't want to do that. Okay, so it's not necessarily where you're at, it's what you're doing. And and when we go back to education, not just educating yourself on the real estate market, but educating yourself on what people that are in the position that you want to be in have done and are doing for their business. Are they getting up? We talked about this in a meeting this morning. What are they doing in the morning? In the morning, I don't grab my phone for social media. I have certain things that I'll do, and I'll pick something, whether it's read a little bit of a book, get ready, just go to the gym right away, do something before I do something that's going to be a distraction in my morning. So awesome on opinions of education and what we do. Before I go to something else, I just been eager to talk about on these things, right? Because I'm like, Jason's going to get the message out. JJ's going to help me, and eventually we'll get Tyler in here too. But not
to throw you in a screwball direction here, but that's a part of it, man. Just getting started, right? A lot of people are, to all those points that you're talking about. Sometimes people are looking for either a secret answer, secret sauce, silver bullet, like something that's going to be the game changer or the perfect time. Like that's the one that gets me all the time. It's just not the right time. It's not the right time. Like right now is the right time. And part of it is like, if what you're saying about the tools and resources, and sometimes you're talking to agents and you say, have you tried it? Have you did this? Well, no, they always kind of have and this is a blanket statement. They have a problem for every solution, right? You're like, dude,
right.
just do, like, get started. And that's how this came about. We're like talking about for the last 2 weeks and hey, trying to get 3 schedules to match up. And today we're finally like, all right, just jump on a Zoom call, press record, real estate raw. We'll figure out the name as we
Whatever,
go.
whatever it is,
The
right?
triple R's. So just do it and then see what happens and then get a little better, 1% better every day. Progress, not perfection, man. And so I agree with you on all those things. Is sometimes, man, you just got to get started in whatever venture it is. If it's cold calling, grab the yellow book or white pages. Some of you listening might not know what that is, but grab the
What's a yellow? Would you say a yellow book? What's a yellow book?
And just pick a name and start going to pick E and start going all the way down E, or grab your phone and start calling your clients today. If you don't have any business, grab your phone right now, go to that phone book app, start from A, and then go all the way through Z and ask everybody that do you know anybody that's looking to buy or sell real estate right now? My schedule's is opened up for the week and I'm taking appointments.
Right.
Just so what else? What do you got in your mind?
Well, I was going to share this on just the last thing on that, and we'll go into a couple other things that, again, eager to talk about. Just kind of start getting stuff out there. Is I tell my clients when we're looking at negotiating purchasing a home, I educate them on what I feel the right offer will be based on my knowledge, based on talking to the other agent. What I know we should try to do. But I let them know that whatever they decide, whatever number they decide to offer, that if the other side was to say, no, we're not taking that offer in a multiple offer situation, no, sorry, we went somewhere else. I need you to be able to tell me that you would not have paid a penny more for that home if we lose in a multiple offer situation. A lot of times that's helped because, and don't get me wrong, for consumers who are out there looking to do it, my goal is to save you money. And sometimes saving you money is letting you know you should offer more, because if it's the right home, you're going to lose money on the next house that doesn't fit your needs, even if it's less, and you're going to wish you would have. So I'll sum it up with that. But one of the things I want to talk about, because I see a lot of this, I see a lot of it. And I know a lot of it's just kind of white noise out there. But, I did a post the other day that had to do with an agent asking if they could promote a listing that I had, on their social media. They're not in my group. They are with our brokerage, and it wouldn't matter if they had been with our brokerage. But I'll tell you, I see a lot of mixed information of people saying, I'll never let them do that. It doesn't matter if they're with my brokerage or not with my brokerage. So my question to you would be, what are your thoughts on someone who says there's no way I would let anybody else promote a listing I have for my clients?
So when I hear that question, the first thing that comes to my mind is, in which point of view are we looking at the question, right? And if I'm looking at it from customer centric first, if that's my first point of view is customer centric, what is the best thing? What is the most important thing for the customer? Then I'm filtering through in some of those perspectives. Does it show the listing in the best light possible? Are they promoting it in good faith of showing the listing in the best light possible? As long there's no slander to it, there's nothing that goes along with it that's saying, man, this house is the ugliest house I've ever seen. This house is overpriced. Like, if it's, hey, this is a great home right here, check it out if you haven't already seen it on 123 Main Street, and it's a great price. Let me know if you like to schedule a showing today, which is, to your question or to your scenario, 99.9% of the times is how it's being shared. It's in good light, right? They're actually sharing it to promote the listing, to cause the listing to sell. So when we're looking at it through the frame of a consumer first, why the heck would you not want that listing to be shared in front of more people?
Right. And I love it. And I already knew what you would say because you and I have been talking a lot. We know each other very well. But I have to look at it when I'm taking on a listing. Did this person hire me to help get their home sold in any legally, ethically manner possible to promote that home and to get it out there? The answer is yes. I don't understand how someone could say, no way, you cannot promote that. You're just trying to get clients. Well, you're right. I am. I'm trying to promote your property to potentially get a client that trusted me to help them purchase the property you have listed. I always ask myself, if that agent said no to the person who wanted to promote it in good faith and really promote that property, are they actually having that conversation with their seller? Here's my next question to that is, if they're saying no to somebody wanting to promote the property, do you feel that that's a question that should really be answered by the seller or by the agent that's representing the seller? To me, the seller should be the one to ultimately say if they don't want somebody else to promote it. Whatever their reasons might be, it doesn't matter because they're our client, right?
Yeah.
99.9% of the time, the seller's going to say, yeah, whatever we have to do, right?
Yeah.
So
And
it
I
just
feel
kind
like, and this is obviously state lines. We're in Oregon, and every state is going to have their own guidelines to how things are promoted. But in ODS, I think that's what it is, the ODS forms or whatever, the listing forms, right? The data sharing forms for input sheets for listings in Oregon. When people check that syndication box, that it can go to the big sites like Zillow and Realtor and Homes and all the other sites, I think that should loop in where once it's syndicated on all platforms, that should be allowed to be cross advertised through other brokerages without permission. Like not necessarily without permission, but you're opting in for that already when you check off, hey, this listing can go to multiple sites. And our brokerage personally just tackled that, and it's made, major headline news that we believe in full transparency to the consumer. EXP says that once we take a listing, that it needs to be shared within a certain amount of business days out on all platforms, because again, when we layer back who are we putting to what's the advantage, right? Or to who is the advantage? And if we're putting all transparency, all brokerages should be able to see our listing, well, that is in effect benefiting the consumer, the person that hired you to do your job. But if you're wanting to work for Keep It All Real Estate, where you only want it with in-house,
I'm getting ready to apply with them, but yeah, go ahead.
Keep It All Real Estate, then you're really not putting your seller you're putting your seller at a disadvantage at that point, because you're not actually getting the house on the market to as many eyeballs as possible, which
Right.
then drives to competing offers and things of that nature, right? So yeah, man, I 100% believe in, and if anybody wants to share any of our listings, which we carry a ton every single month, year, whatever, they're share them. Like, we want to put it out. If it helps you build your business and brings you buyers, that's a positive too.
Right.
Heck yeah, build your pipeline, build people that know you. There's an abundance of real estate or business in general out there. Like, even if there was only 10 agents in the marketplace, it would be hard for one person to collect every single client possible. Like, there's always going to be a need for more agents in general, because we just can't, like, no agency can create a monopoly in the business, even if they tried. That we try to get more market share. That's the goal. We try to get as much market share as possible. But the reality is you'll never have 100% market share, not even in neighborhoods. When you're the neighborhood listing specialist, one person in that neighborhood is going to hate you. Someone will list someone else in spite of just not listing with you.
Right. They're like, I see that person signs all the time, I'm using somebody else, right? So, which really kind of brings me to this, and there's so much to get into the future podcast and what we're going to be doing. But, really, I want to bring this up, especially on our first podcast, to kind of maybe set the tone of things that we talked about, because we're going to go into all kinds of different things. When we signed up as real estate agents, we signed up to not only work for the brokerage that we're with, for the clients that we're working with, but also other agents, regardless of background, regardless of brokerage, regardless of anything. Our job was to work with every industry. And the more we can work together as agents, regardless of what brokerage you're with, the more we can help our clients. I find it very funny, and I'll ask you what your thoughts are on this, and then we could probably wrap this up for our first podcast. But I find it very funny when I was guilty of this when I first started. I thought the brokerage that I was with was the only brokerage that ever knew anything that they were doing. And I was like, oh, I didn't realize that there's probably 100 other brokerages out there. And what does that mean? That out of those other brokerages that are out there, there's probably other people in those brokerages who know something that I would like to learn, who know something that I should be learning from them, who I could grow. And if we're too narrow-minded to say, well, no, only the people in my brokerage know everything they're doing, we're really not opening up ourselves, and we're really not saying we're going to do what we can for the consumer, or that we're willing to work with other agents. So let me ask you this. You talk with all kinds of different agents in different walks of their life, different age groups, everything, especially at different brokerages. Have you learned something from a person at another brokerage that you reached out to specifically because you knew that they would be the best one to help answer that question?
Oh yeah, man. And I can point to an absolute specific scenario. So which is it's the context, it's the actual juice of what you're talking about here. So I have, or last year, yeah. We're no longer meeting up, but we had a council between myself, an agent in California, and an agent in Florida. The three of us. It was Joel, myself, and Luis. And Luis Perez in Florida, Joel Camacho down in, I think he was in the LA County area. I can't specifically remember where he was at, but the three of us, complete different brokerages. All three of us, complete different brokerages. It was a mastermind group where we're sharing, hey, what are you doing? How are you building your team? What are you doing for lead generation, script practice? Some of us were doing cold calls at the time. Some of us were doing expired calls. Some were working notice of defaults or vacancy. Gosh, what's the name of it?
Rental vacancies.
Yeah, kind of like that, where it was basically they've been getting mail at that place, and they haven't been collecting the mail, so it goes back to the pillbox, and basically it shows like, hey, there's a house that is there, but they're not actually responding to their mail, so we can tell that it's a vacant home. They're out of state because their mailing address doesn't match the home address. So there's a whole strategy for that, and he was doing that, and he actually shared that with us. And Rockwell and I started doing it down here in Southern Oregon, and from when he shared that with us last year, we implemented in January. We've already picked up like 6 listings just from that mailing campaign. And I'll talk to you about it, kind of how that we strung that together. But anyhow, 3 different agencies. Joel actually shared with Luis and myself. I think Joel had shared it with us, his profit and loss calculator. He had like a full, no, this it actually came from Luis. He shared it with Joel and I, but it was his profit and loss Excel sheet where he pretty much just said, here, like this, it's for you guys. You guys use it for your business. And it's like, okay, how much did we spend on lead generation? How much did you spend on gas? How much was your cell phone? How much was your education? How much was clothes for your business? How much was books that you invested? Like it goes down every freaking category. You input the numbers for the month, and then on another tab it has, okay, what deals do you have? And I'll share this with you if you want to check it out. But and then it has like, okay, what deals do you have in escrow? The splits are already built into the Excel sheet. So you put the address, you put your commission, and then it'll spit out the equation of what your commission is going to be. And then that works into another little spreadsheet tab where it tells you, okay, this is your forecasted budget for next month. And he's not even part of my brokerage, but he's like, yo, we're homies here. Have it.
Right.
And that's exactly what you're talking about. It's like, dude, it didn't. And I told them both, because we're at EXP, right? I said, you guys allow me to pitch you one time hard on EXP. And then after that, I don't want any I don't want any problems. All right. I told them.
Right.
So they're like, all right, sounds good, man. But I told them, if you guys come to EXP and it's not with me, I'm gonna put you guys in a headlock. But
Right.
keep it lighthearted, and still friends to this day. They're still with their current brokerages, and those guys called me up out of at a moment's time and needed something, like I'm there for them as well. So
Right.
exactly what you're talking about.
And I love it. And here's what I get from that. And I'll tell you, it's funny. This isn't EXP is great. I love it. And we're going to talk a lot about EXP and what they have in future podcasts. And this isn't just about EXP, but that's what it taught me when I came to this brokerage. And that's kind of that's what I like, to open the eyes of other agents. Not that they need to make a switch to another brokerage, but open your mind to knowing that there's people out there in different brokerages that can possibly help you build your business. Maybe you're in a market center that's got great agents, but a different market center that has a different brokerage. You found out about somebody that would be open for people calling because they want to help with their business. Give them a call, reach out to them. If you keep it just within your group there, you're probably missing out. Here's what I learned coming over here is that when we're helping each other out, regardless of where you're from, what brokerage you're with, it's also helping us. If you called me, JJ, and you were 2 weeks in the business and you said, Jason, I really want to focus on listings. What should I do? And we did some trainings together and I gave you some tools that you thought were very helpful. What does that mean? That means that potentially you're going to be able to get a listing that wouldn't have been on the market without you doing what you're doing. That's going to fit a need of a buyer that I have. We're helping everybody out. You know what I mean? So I want to leave us with that. And I'm going to throw maybe a little bit of a cliffhanger out there for our next podcast on something I would like to talk about, how looking at the different splits with your brokerages and with your teams can hurt you. That's all I want to say on it. So if you want to find out what I mean, then next week, I won't even tell you this week, JJ. I'll make you wait till next week. if you want to find that out, start tuning in. Let's get this. Let's grow together, and we'll see you then.
Sounds good. And you guys, if you're not already, make sure you're following the Rockwell Network, the Agent's Edge on Facebook. You'll find a lot of these podcasts, snippets, and everything on there, along with other tools, tips, and tricks to help you build your business. And if you need anything, drop us a comment below here, and we'll reach out. And we're just here to help impact the lives of millions of people across the world in a positive manner. So my name is JJ Velador.
Jason Giles. And since we don't have it dialed in yet, I want everybody to feel like we've got some really great music going on as we fade out into the dark, okay?
And someone send Tyler Boeing a text message and let him know to pretend like he's not at a listing appointment right now. We know he's at lunch with a friend. So
yeah, we know what he's doing.
All right.
All right, JJ. Thank you.